Vikings talk. It's Purple Daily on Score North and ScoreNorth.com. Purple Daily, presented by Surly Brewing Company.
And welcome in Zulgad and Scoggins. Purple Daily actually right now is Purple Access, brought to you by our friends at Surly
That's
a good
one,
Brewing. Well, we could be
the
Surly Brewing Company.
You can do it.
You stumbled onto a marketing idea.
Surly Brewing Company. Chip and I both love the Surly Furious. And of course, TCL TV. Enjoy more with TCL. If you're not watching sports on TCL, what are you doing? It's a great picture. Check it out. And as always, both with a Surly beer or a TCL TV, if you have one in hand, tweet us a picture at Score North on Twitter at JZulgad, JZULGAD. Always love to see that our listeners and viewers are using the products that we endorse and the people who are nice enough to endorse us. All right, Chip Scoggins, coordinators talking today, but I want to start you off with this one because it came out on Chad Hartman's show on WCCO radio yesterday. Kevin O'Connell appearing with Chad and asked a very pointed and relevant question about, can you assure us that Kirk Cousins is going to be your quarterback on the first day of training camp next season? And Kevin O'Connell, I would say much more so than he did on his KFAN appearance with Dan Burrow last week, or even in his press conference also last Thursday, his introductory presser, Kevin O'Connell gave what I would say is a much less certain answer to that question, saying training camp is a long ways away. Now, he went on to praise Kirk because I think he really likes Kirk. But that being said, it certainly appears that something in the last week has shifted a bit to where Kevin is not going to be as certain of his answer. What did you make of that?
Well, I think it's probably a head coach who's general manager saying, well, let's see what teams call and offer us with. I mean, you don't want to come out and obviously you have to say how much you love him because one, you may feel that way, but two, if nothing does transpire, you don't want the relationship to start off on a rocky note where the quarterback's thinking, well, they tried to trade me all offseason, Right. So it does him no good to come out and say, to be completely ambivalent or on the fence, but it also doesn't do him any good to paint himself in a box by saying 100%, yep, he's going to be here. And then you get a trade offer that blows you away and all of a sudden you look like an idiot. And so I think he's probably just playing it as he has to, kind of both sides of it.
Two things on the Kirk front as well, Chip, to run past you. The first one is this. It was tweeted out by a guy who clearly has an inside connection. And then I've heard the same thing. And that is that Kirk Cousins camp has said, if you want to smooth out his salary cap hit and bring it down from, I think what's due to be 45 mil?
45, yeah.
For 2022, we'll do that, but we want a contract extension and we want the salary cap hit for 2023 to be commensurate with what the expected rise in the cap is going to be, which would put his base salary at approximately about a $5 million raise from 35 mil this year to $240 million. If you were O'Connell, and I guess more importantly, Brzezinski and Kwesi, what would your response be to, I'll help you out, but I really want the type of raise that I got in March of 2020, which is one that's eventually going to come back to bite the team in the butt.
Well, and that's what we've been saying all along, Judd, is that people think that the easy way to do this is to give him an extension for 2 or 3 years to lower his cap number. But his cap number is still going to be high, Judd. I mean, his salary is still going to be high. I mean, he probably looks at where he is amongst the other quarterbacks and thinks he needs to be in that $35 to $40 million range, right?
Yes, it appears.
I mean, this idea that he's going to play for $25 million, he's not going to do that. I mean, he's not going to go, go completely backward from where he was last year. I mean, he's going to look at other quarterbacks and say, no, wait a second. Now this guy is making $30 million. This guy's making 32. I'm better than him. So why should I take, so he's going to want to be paid a lot of money. And so that's where Kwesi and O'Connell have to come in and say, okay, I don't know what the projected cap is going to be, but what would $40 million of the cap be? I mean, 17%.
Well,
I don't
his
know.
current cap hit, if he plays on his projected $45 million cap hit for 2022, that's what, 20 something percent of the cap.
Yeah.
So
So
probably about the same.
a little bit less, maybe. But that's where you have to. If you're them, you have to come down and decide: do we want to tie up that kind of money in one position with the quarterback? And if so, how are you going to fix everything that you need to fix? And here's the other thing. I mean, quarterback's obviously your most important position, but the wide receiver is going to want a big contract here pretty soon.
And I want to give it to him.
You have to.
And I want to give him that contract.
Yeah.
I want to make him happy.
Yeah. And so that's where they have to decide. It's just, okay, do they want to do it 1 year, or is this going to be a multiple year thing? So it'll be interesting that, I could see it just being, okay, let's play this thing out this year. Let's see what he does with new coaching and then reevaluate it. If you want to just cut ties and move on and draft someone next year, or then do you want to approach it and extend him?
Now, the tempting thing though, so on the surface, your point right there, I agree with completely. But here's where, to me, it gets a little bit more intriguing, and it's a twofold thing. One is you've got teams calling desperate teams, desperate, like the 2018 Vikings desperate, who think Kirk Cousins, man, could we, and if we get him, we'll fix him, because that's always the sports thing. We'll fix that guy. They're calling you right now. And so you can allow him to play out this contract and walk, but he's going to walk for nothing. The temptation has to be, hold on a second here. Teams are calling us, and we could get something right now. Because, Chip, here's the one thing I don't think any of us are discussing enough. We take what ownership says and think that's the truth. The Minnesota Wild just need some tweaks. Oh, good, just tweaks. And we're like, no, you need far more than tweaks. In this case, Mark Wilf has said what I think Mark Wilf, to sell tickets, has to say. We are all in for 22, right? We're trying to win. The reality is there will never be a better time to shake up this team. And if you dig deeper, what have the Vikings talked about since the day that Rick and Mike were shown the door? Culture change, right? Like things are changing here. Well, you don't just fire the GM and coach and say, but the locker room ain't no culture change there. So my point is, I think we need to put aside what Mark Wilf is saying as what he has to say, and really start discussing the fact that there will be no better time to shake up this roster and the veteran core than right now.
Yeah. And I don't even know. I mean, you say, teams are calling because they think they can fix Cousins. I don't even know if it's so much that. I think they probably just like teams that would call, like, you know what, we have a pretty good roster.
Good point. Yeah,
this would be an upgrade. He would be an upgrade, and they may look at it as,
you're right,
we got a lot better offensive line than them, and if you give him an offensive line, he's going to be even better. So they probably look at it. You're right, in the way that the Vikings did it. Like, if you can upgrade there, then all of a sudden they think about themselves differently. Now, how many teams are in that boat?
Well,
5
Carolina,
to 7. I don't know.
Carolina is desperate because Matt Rule wants to save his job, and Kirk Cousins. Sure. So Kirk ultimately probably played a major role in Rick and Mike being fired. But the irony is, he could go to Carolina and save Rule. Now, when the expectations go up, Rule's in trouble. Yeah. But right now, like, if you put him on that team, he can probably milk them to 8 or 9 wins, which might be enough to save Matt Rule.
But the thing is like, if I'm Matt Rule's boss, the GM, I would look at that as like, okay, what do I have to give up to get to 8 or 9 wins? And I don't think you're going to get another Matthew Stafford deal with Cousins. Do you? Is there a team that's willing to do that, go that far? That feels like, well, okay, that's going to put you. Now, you may look at it and say, hey, it worked for them and they got a Super Bowl and I'm willing to do that. But you also may say, that's a lot to give up because here's the thing. Like, let's assume the Rams lost that Super Bowl. Would you still feel good about doing it? Probably not. Now you can't be paralyzed by the fear of the unknown.
Right,
I know that,
right.
and I always complain about teams that are paralyzed by but
right.
What if you're a team, what are you willing to give up for Cousins? That's what I guess I'm asking.
Okay, so if you are the Vikings and engage the Panthers in trade talks, to be clear, number one, you ain't getting the 6th for Kirk. Nobody thinks that.
No.
That's not going. But what if you exchange?
You ask for it. You ask for it. But
well, you do. But what if you put 12 in? You put your 12 first round pick for the Vikings, Kirk Cousins, expand the trade. You get 6 back. And what I would try and do is get here's what if I was Kwesi, I would I would look long and hard at trying to get assets for 23.
Yeah.
I would love in fact, I would be willing to talk about forget 6. I would be willing to talk about a Cousins deal for the Panthers first round pick in 23. I want as much because that quarterback class is going to be good. And I would love to have as many high draft picks as possible, not to move back Rick Spielman, but to potentially move up. If my team overachieves and because I don't think they're going to take a quarterback in this draft. That's just my hunch, total guess.
Well,
but I do think that they very well could take one in the first round next year.
Yeah. And that's the thing is like, you don't know, are they in love with somebody in this draft? I don't know. There's that one guy that you're like, oh my gosh, he's the franchise savior, like the way Joe Burrow was, or how we thought about other quarterbacks. That doesn't mean there won't be one that come out of here that is a really good NFL starter, but I just don't know that you're that in love with one. You're right. Maybe they're looking at next year's class and like, wait till this guy comes out and we want to move up. And so. Yeah, I mean it's and I don't know that they're in position, will they have been on the job long enough to make that transformative decision on a quarterback of the future in 2 months of being here? I don't
think this class is great, Chip. I just don't think it's great.
Yeah.
I feel like we're trying to torture it into, well, maybe this guy can be, and look, there very well might be a productive QB, but this administration now has no hurry. Like there's no, if you don't find your quarterback now, you're in trouble. So
exactly,
I think that you could just, but if I could get Carolina's first round pick in 23 in a Cousins trade, I'm doing that trade too.
Yeah, because it's because I think we both feel that next offseason is really where you're going to see the tree get shaken in terms of
correct,
really turning over the roster because, and you talked about drafting a quarterback this year is like. Don't these guys need to look at Kellen Mond and just see what he is?
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you think?
And they got enough coaches now. They got an assistant.
Well, that's it. Yeah,
quarterbacks coach and offensive coordinator Kevin O'Connell.
Have they ever had an assistant quarterbacks coach?
No.
I don't think
the first time since I've covered them that they've had an assistant to the quarterbacks coach.
Yeah, and so you have to like see what he is, and then go through a full year to like yes, no, maybe but I don't think you walk in and. See as how you've never even seen the guy practice
right.
and have a decision on Kellen Mond. So,
right.
So no, I don't think you rush into a quarterback thing this year, but which means it just will not surprise me to if they say, you know what, we're just going to play this out this year with Kirk. And then, if it's great and you want to and try to re-sign him, then he may say, forget that, I'm moving on. And that would be his prerogative, but I sort of feel like you need to play out this season just with everybody and just have a better idea, like what your plan is going forward.
Yeah, I guess when it comes to veterans, I if they do part company with some, I'm not going to be upset. I just think that the whole thing, this is like the next year is just, to me, a blank canvas.
Yeah,
just a great blank canvas.
We have not talked about this. What did you make of O'Connell? Sound like a stomp for him, Anthony Barr.
I think Anthony Barr is a player that everyone I know has said that guy would be a great fit in a 3-4 defense.
Yeah.
But then again, he didn't mention Hunter, and we tried to read into that, and it was his first press conference, and he had probably been drunk on Surly the day before at the parade. So like
it's still drunk.
Yeah. So like it's so I don't know.
I just found it, I don't know. I don't know if there's anything.
It was interesting.
To it.
It was interesting.
But it's like he said that he fits what they're doing. So it's it's probably dangerous to read into opening press conferences and what a coach says because he might be nervous and just saying things. But I did find that interesting. I don't know what it means.
It was weird that he picked a guy who was not currently or going to be on March 16th under contract and
he's a free agent. Yeah.
But Hunter didn't get mentioned. So it seemed curious, but that being said, I don't know. Because as we found out, O'Connell, when he's talking to Chad on CCO yesterday, his answer about Cousins had really changed, I thought, in 1 week. And so if you went back to Kevin right now and said, okay, let's go back through this, he might have a totally he probably was not as briefed as well on matters of the roster as he is now. That could be.
Well, that's the thing. But you mentioned the veterans and having to make tough decisions, and he mentions Barr, Kendricks, Harrison Smith being the perfect player for their defense, and he might be, but it's the expensive guys, and you wonder if they're going to be able to keep all the expensive guys and manage that right. Well, do they want to, and can they afford to? I mean, that's two questions because. But what do we think they are? 12 million over the cap?
I think 16. I think they're 16.
Oh, 16? Yeah.
16, they can't afford to. No. And a year from this spring, May of 2023, to your point earlier, Justin Jefferson is going to be up for an extension, and you do not want to dilly-dally with Justin Jefferson.
No.
Hey, just hold on, kid. We'll get to you. I mean, Justin Jefferson is a superstar, and you are going to have to pay him as such. And I don't think that I don't think that one is up for any form of debate. Like, I don't know.
That's not a debate. That is not a debate.
I mean, guys are going to have to go, and that's fair. And that's the business. One thing, Chipper, that I find to be extremely intriguing, and like the next few months are going to be so great. But the one thing that I think is going to have a true trickle down as well on the Vikings and potential moves that they might make or might not make is the Packers, because there seems to be this fan feeling of, well, Rodgers is going to leave, Devontae's gone, and it's the Vikings division for the taking, which I personally think is incredibly short-sighted, because that just means the division is going to stink. So it's not like the Vikings are a championship team. It's like the Vikings can win a division with
a bad division,
a Packers team that is going to be starting in some places from scratch, a Bears team that, has issues as well, and Detroit, which is Detroit. But I think it's trending more and more towards Rodgers and Adams staying there, which to me is a break, because one, it allows the Vikings to say, hold on, folks, here, the Packers still have their quarterback and receiver back. But the other thing is, it now takes teams like the Broncos, who I think that they had a chance to acquire Rodgers in a trade, and makes them more desperate. And now I might get more phone calls. And so I actually believe, for the long-term health of the Vikings, Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams staying in Green Bay for 2022 is the best thing possible, because it allows the Vikings more flexibility and greater potential latitude to make a move.
Well, and what it does too is it eats up a lot of their salary cap. So
that's good too.
They wouldn't be able to fix some areas that they probably need to fix.
Absolutely.
But you're right. Like if teams, those quarterback starved teams that think that Rodgers is available, I mean, obviously you're calling him first, and then you work down to the next tier, and that would be Cousins. So would that open the potential for more teams? Yeah. And, teams are going to call the Vikings on Cousins. I mean,
yes, people were surprised by that.
Yeah. I mean,
what do you mean teams are calling? He's a player they're going to call.
Yeah. I mean, it happens all the time. Probably far more than we have any, because you're not doing your job if you're not calling saying, hey, I hear rumblings. Is there,
right?
They read the room too. They know what's going on.
Yeah, of course.
So, but I still, regardless of what's happening there, you still want to stick to your plan and what you're trying to do and not be so reactive. Aaron Rodgers is here now. But I still think it has to be the plan that you put in place, and regardless of what's happening in Chicago or there, and because at some point they're going to have to, you got to make the decision on Cousins, right? I mean, it's either he's your guy, or you just start over. And so whether that's this year or next year, in fact, if Rodgers is still in the division, I wouldn't allow that. I'd say, hey, here's our plan. This is what we're sticking to, and this is what we're going to go do.
Right. But if I got a call from a desperate Broncos team that thought, oh my God, we thought we were going to get Aaron and we didn't get him. And, that's great for me, because now if I don't trade Kirk, I'm still probably going to get an offer that at least gives me cause to think about the offer.
Sure.
So,
yeah.
It just puts you in a driver's seat position potentially.
I really would be curious to know how many teams call on him. Would you say
Rodgers?
No. Cousins.
I'd say
that would say, you know what? We're right there, because if you're a team that's far off, it doesn't make much sense, right? You're just
the Panthers are far off, but they're desperate. So
who's that?
I said the Panthers are far off, but they're desperate and dumb, and that's a dangerous combination.
Well, it's just,
Cleveland could call.
Are you going to want to tie up 35 to 40 million? With Cousins, you
might think that you can sign him to an extension. I don't know.
Yeah, but it's still, again, the base salary, he's going to want a lot of money. He's not like he's going to go play somebody for $20 million. That's just not going to happen.
Of course he is. He's going to say, if you perceive me, he's going to say the exact same thing to a potential team that he probably did in 2018, which is, if you want me and see me as the final piece of this potential Super Bowl puzzle, then pay me as such.
Well, and I don't fault him. I would do the same thing in any walk of life. You look around and you see that guy or that woman is making.
But they're all playing with their contracts more, Chip. That's the problem. Kirk's like, I want it guaranteed and short term, and
he does it different than most people.
Exactly. Sure. Brady does long term. Go back to his time with the Patriots. Tom Brady's contract was played with like every year.
Yeah.
Pat Mahomes signed his contract and they basically knocked it down instantaneously.
Mm-hmm.
So
Cousins is definitely, I want it guaranteed. I want it short. I want it guaranteed.
Exactly. Cousins puts you in a pickle. He actually signs contracts where, in his case, the salary cap is not fake.
Yeah, correct. Yeah.
It's fake because I can play with your contract and push things off because your contract runs for, 5, 8 more years. In Kirk's case, it's like at some point in time, very soon, the bill comes due and it has to be paid.
And you have to make that decision. Yeah. And you got to make the decision now. Yeah. So, yeah, it's fascinating. This is
really interesting. I agree.
And, so much is predicated, I think, on that decision. I don't know how much that influences the Daniil Hunter and like what you do there. You're going to restructure him and you're going to get that. The bonus thing, that'll get solved because he plays a premium position and he's a star at it. So that will get resolved. But I'm curious and interested to see the trickle down from that and how they afford the veterans, And here's the one that I think is interesting too, is like, I assume Kevin O'Connell's offense is going to value running the ball, not to the degree maybe that Zimmer did, but this is, Sean McVay's did, right? And so
it does.
What does that mean for Dalvin? He's special, but
he's not available a lot. That to me is the biggest strike against him. He is always going to get hurt. He is special.
And you have to decide, is like, can you find a cheaper alternative that's not so, you're not going to find probably, someone of his talent, at a much different rate. You're just not.
Right.
So what's the difference? What's the how do you?
But do running backs deserve that type of payday? So purely position.
Very few.
Purely position.
Very few, but they're different with him, Judd. I mean,
well, the previous
I don't know. I mean, he's been the biggest conundrum for me for since he's joined the team, because you just see his talent and how different he is, and how different they are when they're with him.
I'll give you two players on the opposite sides of the ball that I deem to be very much alike, because they are outstanding players and they are special talents, but they both play positions that I consider to be extremely replaceable. Dalvin, Harrison Smith. Harrison Smith's a special player, but he's a safety, and I can find them cheaper and not as productive. But if I've got a shutdown corner, right, I'm not going to look to say, how can I move him or cut his salary? Dalvin and Harrison Smith, to me, are both incredibly interesting because they're special players. They're guys who are just so damn good, and yet they play positions at which I look at their cap hits, which in the case of Dalvin for 2022 is $12 million. And right now, in the case of 33-year-old Harrison Smith, Chip, is $13.5 million. And I say that's really high for that position.
Yeah, I mean, it's it's interesting, but you have to. Well, one, I don't think Kevin O'Connell comes in and says Harrison's the perfect player for his defense, and then say,
I agree
by the way, we're gonna release him.
I agree.
But you also have to factor in, okay, particularly in his case, he's not 27 anymore. I mean, this is he's getting on the backside, on the back nine, and so you have to start the old Patriots Bill Belichick, 1 year too early versus 1 year too late, and I don't know when that is. But it'll be interesting to see, because I don't think any player, with the exception of maybe Barr, was associated with Zimmer and his defense as much as Harrison.
No, I agree.
I mean, that was his guy. He loved Harrison, right?
And he should have. Harrison is he's a great player for him.
So are they going to use him in the same manner? Is he going to have that same importance to this defense under the new regime? If so, then okay, yeah. But if it's just, I don't say he's another guy, but if you don't plan on using him the way Zimmer did and lean on him in the same way, then the conversation becomes different.
I did tell Phil and Dex this. I think that in Smith's case too, he's a player who's aging, but he's still good. He's still incredibly productive, right? I think that you could, if you took the veterans on this team and shopped them, I think Smith would get you a pretty good, not great, but a good return. Where with like Kendricks, I don't think you get too much there. So Smith, and here's the thing too, Harrison Smith on a Super Bowl contender, God, he'd be a nice piece.
Be great. Yeah.
He'd be a nice piece. He's what teams think that Kirk could be, right? Like if Kirk Cousins comes here, it's the final piece. I'm like, no. But in Smith's case, that would be, if you put him on a defense that was set to pop, could he be good?
He's
1 or 2 years. And that's probably it. But still special.
Yeah, and those teams probably have high-priced players too. So are you going to be in position to add another high-priced player? And so that's the conundrum there.
I'm take a pay cut. Tell him take a pay cut
to go maybe
win a Lombardi trophy, baby. Yeah, exactly right.
But it's man, these are going to be busy couple months in that TCO.
The combine,
trying to figure out,
which starts next Tuesday. The combine is going to be, as the kids say, lit. The combine.
Well, that's where you're talking these agents, right? That's where you're talking agents.
I mean, the rumors, though, the stuff. There's going to be just across the entire league, the quarterback questions, Chip. Forget the Vikings. I'm talking the entire thing. Rodgers, everything, all of the teams that probably perceive their chances of competing to be high, but they lack a quarterback. Pittsburgh, Denver, Tampa Bay. I am I am extremely curious what the Niners do. I'm not convinced
Yeah.
that TB ain't gonna say, just joking, get released by Tampa or traded and go play for San Francisco.
There's part of me that just thinks he's not done. He's going to take a break.
He's gone far.
2 months from now, he's going to have the itch. He's probably tired. And
Tampa didn't go well. Like, I've read stuff that it didn't go well. But if he goes home and plays for that team, because I think that there's some genuine concern about if Trey Lance is prepared yet, and Garoppolo is Garoppolo. So I mean,
he clearly
Tom
not
Brady,
crazy
man.
about it. Yeah, I mean, I think they would move on from Garoppolo in a second if they could, and I mean, it's hard when you have, like, if you have that roster, 499ers roster, and you're saying, okay, we're going to entrust it to Trey Lance.
I know. Yeah,
I mean, he may be great, but he might not be ready.
Well, and if he's not,
you cannot waste years in the NFL with rosters like that.
Nope. And Kyle's at the point now too, where I think the expectation is, okay, guys, go win a Super Bowl. Yeah. And he just lost to McVay, his buddy. Like, there's a lot of there's a compelling case to say, Tom, you're not done yet. And Tom will say, no, I'm not. Play for us for a year.
The fielders here.
I'll play for us
around like May or June. He'll
I think he's coming back.
He'll get sick of golf. He'll be I wouldn't be surprised at all. But yeah, it's I think the Vikings, as much as any team, is going to be at the forefront of a lot of rumors.
Oh, I agree completely. Because it's
not just because of Cousins, but I think just
unknowns, right?
Yeah.
O'Connell, unknown. Kwesi, unknown. Unknowns. I've got a last question for you, Chip Scoggins. But before I get to that, I want to get to our favorite beer. Tell me, as you sit down on the couch this weekend to watch some sports on, I hope it's your TCL TV. What will you be sipping on?
Oh, for sure. Only one beer. It's Furious, right?
That's exactly.
Yeah, I stock up on.
I'll display it right here. Yeah. Right.
Yeah, I'm going to the Timberwolves game tonight and watch a little Judd, the younger one who loves John Morant. We're going. That'll be my reward when I get home. A couple of Sterling Furiouses in the freezer.
Yep. Oh, I love it. Hey, Dex, tell Chip the news though that we found out during our tour that our friends Dave and Ben gave us last week about the cans.
I thought you didn't want to tell Chipper about this.
I did, but I've decided
because you didn't want to tell Chip about it.
I've decided to tell him on the podcast.
Are you going to break my heart with something?
There is I guess, Chip, a can shortage. Means for cans. And Surly Furious might be biting the bullet because of this can shortage that's going on in Canada.
Oh my gosh. What does that mean?
It's not here yet, and it might not
stock
happen,
up. Stock up right now.
You might want to stock up. Especially here's my guess.
I'm the tall boy type. I love the 4-pack
that's
tall
what I was going to say. I think the conundrum
what do they say? It hits different.
Boys.
Yeah.
Because I think
it does hit different. Yes.
I think these are fine. Like, I think you'll find these. So it's not like you're going to be out of potential Surly Furious, but I think the tall boys, let's just say the next time that you go, open up the trunk and just buy them all.
Where do we stand on kegs? Can we get a keg of Surly Furious? Well,
but you like the tall boys.
Do you think my wife would go for that? I roll in the keg in the kitchen.
Yeah, we'll go to the brew house and we'll just take the last kegs, Chipper, and we'll hide it at the Scoggins house.
Stick it in the fridge and drill the tap in the side of the fridge and say, honey, this is for the best.
Yes.
We've just got a continual.
I'm going to set this right here in the corner. It'll go with the corner.
I had to move your car. There's a keg in it now.
Yep.
You're gonna park outside.
No room for food in the fridge, kids. Because Daddy's keg of Furious is now taking up the fridge.
We have a can shortage. What are you gonna do?
Oh my God! All right, last thing.
Yes.
Have you ever considered a Panchakarma cleanse?
What?
Aaron Rodgers. You didn't see this? Aaron Rodgers had the Panchakarma cleanse.
Is that where you have to throw up and have diarrhea, right? Yeah.
Yes.
Have to.
You meditate. You throw up for a day. You. Why
do you do? Why do people do that? Like what?
It's why
what's
he's
the
so
point?
thin. Because I guess it brings you like to one with the universe. You can meditate with Punch Karma Cleanse. I don't know, but he's like, what's happening?
I just don't know how. Is that good for your body?
I would not.
It can't be good for your body.
No.
I don't think we're designed to puke continually. For a day. It's just my guess.
Rodgers is trying. He's out there, right?
Yes. He's way out there.
Favre, imagine they get 30 years of Hall of Fame quarterback play.
Yeah.
But the fans there have had to put up with some stuff.
Yes. Well, and Brett.
Yeah, I would take it. I would put up with stuff to have great quarterbacks. Don't get me wrong. But he's trending into the he's in the twilight zone now with some of the stuff.
I feel like he has, correct me if you think I'm wrong. I feel like Aaron has way bypassed Brett too, as far as just being flat out weird. Like Brett could be annoying, and Brett had his idiosyncrasies, but I feel like Aaron is trying to just be weird.
Yeah. So I think at the root, both of them were needy, right? They needed to be.
Oh God. Yeah.
Loved. They needed the approval. They needed to have their ego stroked. They need to be, hey, you're the greatest. We can't possibly go on without you.
We can't make it.
But some of the stuff with Aaron is trending into the weird. Yes. I mean forget about the, all the vaccination stuff, but just the cryptic Instagram stuff that he's putting out, and
then saying there was nothing to it. I just got done with a punch.
Come on,
which was his. So he basically allowed you to know that he's been expelling things from his body for a week straight and meditating.
How much would they have to pay you to that should be your sponsor. You should do it. How much would they have to pay you
Punch
to do
Karma
that?
Cleanse? I looked up the price of it to have it done to you. Oh my God. It's like $700 a day.
What?
Because it's all these herbs and stuff, man. It's all like these special.
So you have to pay $700 a day to throw up and.
Well, I mean, you don't just gag yourself. Like you are taking things that make you, and at some point in time, it involves oils. Like it's really complex. You meditate, it involves oils, it involves cleansing of the blood. Like they do something to your blood to cleanse your blood, supposedly.
I would probably die. I would, it would start out as the cleanse and I'd end up in a coffin. So that would be
without a
and I would be out $3,500.
Yes. And your wife would be like, he got what he deserved. He got Chip got exactly what Chip deserved, that idiot.
That's all it took. My wife
I'm done with him. Done with him. Yeah, but how about that whole thing?
No, yeah.
My only thought is this. He does it. I don't doubt that.
Oh yeah.
But the fact that he led the Instagram, the late night Instagram stuff into his appearance on the McAfee show and then talked about the Punch Karma Cleanse, I gotta think somebody paid him.
And here's
the Punch Karma Cleanse people or something, because it's too coincidental that all, because we all thought he's going to retire. I watched the show. Right?
Yeah. Well, that's it. Yeah. So what was the Favre's guy down in Mississippi, the sports writer there that he Al?
Oh,
no.
Yeah, that's right. I forget his name.
Or Ed, then it became Edward, and
Yep, that's exactly.
How many of these
McAfee
appearances with McAfee is he going to milk that everybody has to go watch now? Because he's surely going to break the news on there, right?
Right.
Whatever he decides is going on there.
Yes.
How many more of these teases is he going to have before he breaks it that everybody has to run to? Because it was funny. I was on Twitter and I was watching it. There were
the stream
20 people. It was just no news today. No news. He says no. So everybody obviously was following it. So if you're a Packers beat writer fan,
those poor people.
Oh my gosh.
Those poor people thought they were done with this crap when Brett left. It's worse now. This is worse because he can do whatever he wants. I mean, he put out, he essentially teased the McAfee show appearance with that Instagram post at what, Dex? 11 o'clock at night.
Yeah, I was like 10 or 11. Yeah.
So like if you're a
Raptor, you're up all night now. You're like, I got to get ready. He's going to retire.
Dang it.
Yeah.
Like you're dozing off, like poor Jason or Domovsky. These guys are old now. They're dozing off. And all of a sudden, like there's an alert.
I'll be listening to this. Yeah.
Instagram. And here's a picture of Cobb and Adams on the day that Rodgers was not there.
And he's not in it. Yeah.
It's Beatles stuff.
Oh, it meant nothing, though. It meant nothing.
It's like the Beatles. It's like Paul's shoes are off as he's walking across the crosswalk. We all think he's dead. He's out of step. It's Photoshop. Paul McCartney's dead. That's right. It's like that. It's crazy stuff. All right. I'll talk to you next Thursday. As always, good stuff. Enjoy your weekend, Chip Scoggins. And most importantly, enjoy your Surly. Now get to that liquor store. Get that trunk filled up.
On my way. See you, bro.
Talk to you. Bye.